Good day, and thank you for watching. If you are stopped by police in California, there is one moment that can completely change the direction of a criminal case, and that moment often sounds simple. Do you mind if I take a look? Because what many people do not realize is this. By consenting to a search, you may be giving law enforcement access they otherwise may not have had. And once that search happens, the results can become evidence in a criminal case. Let's start with the basics. Under the Fourth Amendment, people are generally protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. In many situations, police need a warrant to conduct a search, but there are exceptions, and one of the biggest exceptions is consent. Now, here's the key. If you voluntarily allow a search, police may not need a warrant at all. That's why consent searches are such a major issue in criminal law. Now, here's where many people make a mistake. They believe they have no choice. They feel pressured, intimidated, or afraid that refusing will make them look guilty, so they agree, even when they are uncomfortable. Now, let's talk about what police may ask to search: a vehicle, a backpack, a phone, a home, or personal belongings. And once consent is given, the scope of that search can become extremely important. Now let's discuss another issue: voluntariness. For consent to be legally valid, it generally must be voluntary, not forced, not coerced, not obtained through unlawful pressure. But determining whether consent was truly voluntary can become a major issue later in court. Now, let's talk about traffic stops. This is where consent searches happen frequently. An officer may stop someone for a traffic violation and then begin asking additional questions. Do you have anything illegal in the car? Mind if I search? And many people say yes without fully understanding the consequences. Now, here's another important point. If illegal items are discovered during a consent search, prosecutors may argue the evidence was lawfully obtained, which can significantly affect the case moving forward. Now, let's discuss another common misunderstanding. Some people believe that if they consent to part of a search, they automatically consent to everything. But the scope of consent matters. What exactly was agreed to? What areas were included? Those details can become important. Now let's talk about homes. Consent searches involving homes raise especially significant issues because homes receive strong constitutional protection. But if someone with authority over the property consents, police may argue the search was lawful. Now let's discuss shared spaces. In shared homes or apartments, questions can arise about who had authority to consent: one roommate, a spouse, a family member, and these situations can become legally complicated. Now let's talk about phones and digital devices. Phones contain enormous amounts of personal information: messages, photos, apps, location data, and consent involving digital searches can have major implications. Now, here's where many people make another mistake. They try to explain too much during the encounter. They volunteer information, they speculate, or they attempt to talk their way out of the situation. But statements made during these encounters may later become evidence as well. Now, let's discuss another important issue: withdrawal of consent. In some situations, a person may attempt to limit or withdraw consent after initially agreeing, and whether that withdrawal was clear can later become part of the legal analysis. Now let's talk about body cameras and recordings. Modern police encounters are often recorded, which means tone, language, and the exact wording of conversations may later be reviewed carefully. Now let's discuss another misconception. Some people believe refusing consent automatically creates probable cause. That is not necessarily true. Exercising constitutional rights is not itself proof of criminal conduct. Now let's talk about the role of evidence. If evidence is discovered after a consent search, the legality of the consent itself may become a central issue in the case. Was consent voluntary? Was it clear? Did the person actually have authority to consent? these questions matter. Now, let's discuss the emotional side of police encounters. Most people are nervous during traffic stops or police questioning, and nervous people often make fast decisions under pressure. That is one reason why these situations can become legally significant very quickly. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. Consent searches are one of the most common ways evidence is obtained in criminal investigations, and many people do not fully understand their rights in those moments. Finally, let's talk about expectations. Every case is fact specific. The details matter, the wording matters, the circumstances matter, and small moments during police encounters can have major consequences later. In conclusion, consenting to a police search in California can dramatically affect a criminal case. What may seem like a simple interaction can create serious legal consequences depending on what happens during that search. Understanding your rights and understanding the role consent plays in criminal investigations is critical. If you are facing criminal charges involving a search or seizure issue, understanding the legal questions early can make a significant difference. Call us at 888 6582. I'm Vince Davis, and we are all in this together.